What's up?
Gilles, how's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you too.
How's LA going? What's happening in Los Angeles these days?
Oh, same old sunshine and blue skies, I guess. But no, I actually only just got here about a month ago, so I'm pretty
Oh
new
yeah.
to it myself. I
Oh,
spent most of
nice.
my time in New York and London, so LA is pretty new. So I mean, I'm enjoying it, man. A lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, awesome. What's the situation like with COVID and things like that? Are things pretty open or?
Yeah, things are pretty open. There's like vaccine mandates for a lot of bars and restaurants and sort of that sort of stuff. But
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the most part, it's relatively open.
Oh,
Masks inside at supermarkets and stuff. What about where you're at?
well, it's interesting. We were just in like a 3 month
Yeah.
lockdown. Yeah. So I don't know like how much you've been like, yeah, how much you've heard or anything like that, but like I'm in Melbourne, so Melbourne's like the most like locked down city in the world, like or it has been essentially over the last like 2 years or so. But
Yeah.
we just got out of it actually last night. So yeah,
And
it was
have
good. It
you
was
been
good.
hitting the town or?
Oh man, 100%. My girlfriend and I like just had like dinner and stuff like that. We were very optimistic. We actually like we booked dinner and then we booked like a bar afterwards
Mhm.
as well. But we like died as soon as we had the dinner. We just like had a couple of drinks and like could not make it out.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's
I'm glad you guys are out, man. I hope it stays that way. I hope it
yeah,
stays that
no, definitely, definitely. I think it's getting a lot better and stuff like that. So
way. Good,
fingers
good.
crossed, man. It's been a long, long 3 months.
Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine. I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey man, welcome to the Fine Film Podcast. I'm glad to have you on. For those of you listening, today's guest is actor Gilles Geary, best known for his role in Echo Boomers, and also there's a show on Netflix called The ILand as well. So, Gilles, again, welcome. We spoke to Seth Savoy not too long ago about Echo Boomers, and I remember speaking to him, kind of mentioning how much we were kind of impressed and how much you stood out in Echo Boomers as well. So it's great to chat with you, man.
Oh yeah, I'm happy to be here, man.
That's awesome. Well, I wanted to first of all, I wanted to ask you like I watched a couple of like interviews with you and things like that. I'm sensing something in your accent that I just can't place, and I just wanted to kind of know like where did you grow up? Where did you spend your time? Like
Um,
the lowdown,
First of all, what interviews? Are there any online? I didn't even know there was any.
dude.
But
There's a couple of videos, yeah, but I was just like, oh, like yeah, it's there's a little bit something there. Like I just wanted to
yeah,
figure
it's
it
a
out.
mixed bag. I was born in Amsterdam, where I spent the
Oh,
first
cool.
few years of my life, but I grew up in the UK in London,
Oh,
and then I
nice.
moved to New York when I was 18. So I'm half American and half European, I guess. So I guess probably that's where the
Yeah,
slight different accent comes from.
yeah, it's not like it's not that noticeable, but like I love like accents and things like that. So like I noticed a
Yeah.
little bit of it. I was like, oh, I gotta figure this out.
Yeah, so it's probably a mixture between American, English, and then maybe a tiny residue of Dutch. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, something there as well. Do you speak Dutch as well?
I do, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Not as well as my mom would like me to, probably, but yeah, I do.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. So tell me, I guess take me back, like, how did you get into acting? Was it something you did before you came to the US and that sort of thing? Or what is your
Yeah. I
path going
mean,
to start?
yeah, there wasn't really a sort of eureka moment. I don't think there's not. I don't have a really fantastic origin story when it comes to acting. I just remember it was something that watching movies was a big part of growing up. And I just remember when the movie would be done, I would find myself thinking about it for days and weeks after. And then I guess as I became a teenager, I discovered that acting was a job. These people are paid to do this. And so it's kind of just a natural progression of my love of film, really. And then
Yeah.
through that, I started taking classes in the UK and stuff. And I mean, I didn't know, I went to Julliard and I didn't know what Julliard was until I applied. I didn't know it existed. So it was just a very natural, almost quiet process. There was no big explosion like, this is what I want to do, but it was very
Yeah.
natural. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's weird, yeah, because like I don't know, yeah, people have this expectation or like they don't know like that they could do this as a job, and it's like they grow up loving the film industry and stuff like that. So yeah, it's interesting to hear that. Like I had a similar experience because I was like obviously into movies my whole life and things like
Right.
that, and I grew up. I was born actually overseas in Eastern Europe, so like in Bosnia and like lived in
Oh,
Serbia.
cool.
Yeah, so I got a European background and kind of moved to Australia later on but also kind of, yeah, found out like you can take acting classes and you can do things and kind of go after it. I did a little bit of that, but it's
Oh
weird.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like
Cool.
not to like any like crazy level or anything like that, but just because I wanted to kind of do it, it was like it was fun, so why not? Fuck it. um,
Absolutely.
but that's awesome. And like, how did you? I noticed like with your IMDb and stuff like that, there's a show that you did as a kid. I'm not too sure how much you want to talk about this.
Yeah, I
There's
mean,
a
it's on the resume.
it's out there. So Spirit Warriors. It's this
Yeah,
show.
man. I mean, that was, oh shit. Yeah, I mean, I had this agency when I was much younger, and I auditioned for it, and then I got it, and it was a sort
Yeah,
of, I mean, I was in over my head, man. I mean, to give the BBC and CBBC credit, it was a huge budget show,
yeah.
massive green screen and all that sort of stuff. So it was really thrown in the deep end there. And I got to get off school, which was really exciting because I did not like the school I was in at the time. But I mean, yeah, man, that's hilarious to me. The fact that it still exists, because for me, it's associated with my childhood memories, and the fact that
Yeah.
kids actually watch that is a bit hard to believe. But yeah, man, I mean, it was a big budget, fun show. I can't sit here and tell you that I did much acting in that because I didn't really know how to do it, really. So yeah, but it was fun, man. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I guess you got to work with like Benedict Wong and Jessica Henwick.
Yeah,
And
he's now
yeah,
huge now, and
huge.
Jessica
Yeah.
Henwick as well, who's also blowing up. She's in the new Matrix.
New Matrix. Yeah, wild.
And Jess and I'm still a little bit in contact with, but Benedict, I haven't spoken to him in a while. But they're both really, really lovely people and very, very talented. Very,
Yeah,
very talented. Yeah.
that's
It was
insane.
clear too with Jess when we were working. It was clear even when I was 13 maybe. It was obvious that she had a huge drive. So
Right.
everything that's happening with her is not a surprise in the slightest.
Yeah, it's expected.
Very driven. Yeah, she's
What
great.
was what was it like? I guess. Well, being a bit of a child actor, like what was that like in terms of that experience shooting that show, and then also your personal life as a kid?
I mean, it definitely was not on a scale that I would associate with the name child actor because that has a lot of associations with. So I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know, man. Everybody made fun of me, dude.
Really?
Yeah, of course.
Oh
You're a
no.
kid, and then they find out you're in a kids' TV show. Everyone takes the piss out of you, which is kind of goes with the territory. But that wasn't fun. But I mean, yeah, I mean, it was nice to be able to have that experience so young and also kind of it's an escape. That whole show is an escape. And then for
Yeah.
the actors, even now as an adult, I feel that, but it was an escape from a school that I didn't like
Yeah.
and being young, which can be difficult sometimes. So it was definitely more so fun to escape in that sort of fantasy world than deal with high school or whatever, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. No one enjoys school really, anyways. So
I don't think so, or I hope they do, but I certainly didn't.
yeah, no, I understand that. Yeah. Well, kids are weird, so like, yeah,
It's
that
true.
makes
It's also a
sense.
difficult time. But yeah.
It's a tough time.
Mhm.
So I guess your transition and like what was that decision like to go to the US at 18? So was it that you got into Juilliard to move across?
Yeah, I mean, I auditioned for a bunch of schools in the UK, which is where I wanted to stay in the UK because that's where I grew up and that's where, my life was at the time. And I didn't get in anywhere, which was a major bummer. And then I auditioned for like 12 schools, and the last one I auditioned for was Julliard. And I thought,
Yeah.
okay, man, if I don't get into this, I have a year of working at the bar or a day job, and
Yeah.
then try again. And then I sent in a tape, and then they asked me to fly over, and I did, and I did the call, and then to my shock, I got in. So I narrowly avoided having a year of nothing, which wouldn't have been the end of the world, but
Yeah.
I'm very, very grateful that I made the move to the US. Very
Yeah.
grateful. I don't think Echo certainly wouldn't have happened if I didn't. Life would look very different if I hadn't made that move to Juilliard. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
How long was that process? How long did you attend Juilliard?
4 years. 4 years. Yeah.
Was that pretty intense? Because obviously it's a big name school.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough school, but I think it's also got a lot of warmth and a lot of good things about it. I think the name is associated with this crazy boot camp, and it is in terms
Mm.
of how much time you're spending there, like 13 hours a day, 6 days a week. I didn't leave that building for like 4 years, but it
Yeah.
was an incredible experience. I learned a whole bunch that I'm when you graduate, you're like, I'm never going to use any of that stuff. Because you're just so ready to be done. But now there's some time has gone by. You're like, okay, yeah, I see now I'm using this more and that more. But definitely I would associate, a sort of really tough boot camp style regimented program for sure.
Yeah. It sounds like it was worth it, the 4 years.
For me personally, it was worth it. Absolutely. I can't speak for anyone else's experience, but mine, it was a great experience. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so how does that kind of lead to Echo Boomers? I know when we spoke to Seth, it was great. First of all, the movie, I really liked it. It's great. Like your arc as, Jack as well is amazing throughout the entire film.
Cool.
Seth kind of made mention as well, and he kind of referenced like Martin Scorsese and working with De Niro, and he kind of mentioned, Gillis is my De Niro, and I need to put him in like everything that I do going
I hope
forward.
so.
Yeah. So what was that? Yeah. What was that process like? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. I mean, I got the audition when I was shooting the ILand, and it sort of happened very quickly. And then all of a sudden, I was on the phone with Seth, and really from the beginning, from that initial phone call, we were speaking about that arc. Are we allowed to do spoilers? Are we doing that? Or
we'll do a spoiler warning right now. So if you haven't seen Echo Boomers, watch it, pause it, come back. Let's do it.
Yeah. Good shot. Yeah. For me, everything about that role is what Jack does at the end. Like everything is leading to that. And we were having a discussion about, is it planned from the start? Is it kind of, does it happen along the way? But for me, it's planned from the get-go.
Yeah.
I initially had this idea of Jack being a little bit of a psychopath, which I didn't want to do personally, because I think it's more scary and more sort of interesting when he's not a psychopath and this is just what human beings do. He's duplicitous. And so for me, that was the most exciting part, was I get to do this thing at the end, and then I get to play not doing that and doing that at the same time. So it's really kind of in a way playing two roles, one on the surface to Lance and kind of coaxing him and making him feel part of this sort of family, and then also kind of quietly bubbling away, seeing how he's reacting to stuff and sort of planning my getaway. I do think maybe there could have been a world in the film where he did go with Lance.
Right.
If things had happened slightly differently, I don't think Jack would have thrown him under the bus as violently as he did, because Lance screwed up at the end,
Yeah.
He acted out of what Jack expected him to do, so he had to cut ties,
Sure. It's his arc's interesting. I like what you said about he's not necessarily an evil person. It's just this is kind of what humans do, right? They make these decisions sometimes.
Yeah, to a degree. And I also think it's more interesting as an audience to watch someone who you can't just label, oh, he's evil. Because then you get to go to bed at night being, okay, I'm fine because he's evil. But if he's not evil, it lingers with you more because there are more complicated variations of one human being that you have to deal with. So it was very important to me. Seth did occasionally push that. He was like, nah, he's a psychopath. I was like, he's not, Seth.
Yeah.
Not.
Let it go.
Yeah, man, relax with the psychopath thing. But Seth and I really shared a vision about what we wanted to do with Jack. So it was great to be able to kind of check in with Seth along the way to be like, okay, is this playing enough? Am I doing it enough? Am I giving too much away? All that, So he was a great partner in that Jack's art for sure.
Yeah, definitely. He made mention of I think also that you might have been doing a play at the time when he was trying to kind of cast you, and that he was saying that the movie wouldn't have gotten made without Gillis as well. So how long, how hard was that decision kind of to either jump on, or was it a clash of like schedules probably at the time?
I think at the time it was. At the time, I remember Echo got pushed by a whole year.
Yeah, it took a while to get made. It was like 3 years or something like that.
Yeah. It got put. I remember I was cast and I was gearing up to do it, and then suddenly I find out that it was in a year, and I was devastated because I was so excited because at the time I had been out of work for a couple of months, and any time you get offered a job, it's really exciting. I want nothing other than to be on that set. So that was really disappointing. And then the Sam Shepard play I did came up, which was great. And I'm not sure. Maybe it would have clashed. I don't know, but it didn't. So thank God I got to do both. But
it worked out. It worked out perfectly.
It worked out. Yeah, it really did. So that's great. But it's very sweet of Seth to say that.
Yeah. What was he like as a director? And I guess like you mentioned before, your character's kind of I guess he doesn't want to kind of reveal his intentions and things like that. So I guess shooting the film, is it done in chronological order, or how are you kind of playing that as well? Dane?
Yeah, we didn't shoot in chronological order, I don't think. I just made sure that before we shot, I knew exactly, like I literally drew a timeline of my sort of inner thoughts with Lance. So I would always know if we're jumping around, okay, I know how much Lance knows, I know how much I know. So that was super important to me because I didn't want to screw it up as we were shooting like a puzzle all out of order.
Yeah.
So that was challenging, but that was all done before, before
Yeah.
I got on set, I did all that stuff. So I was able to be like, okay, cool, we're doing this scene and then going back so I can just reverse it. So,
yeah.
But that was super important to make sure that Jack had that clear arc that wouldn't have been interrupted with the shooting schedule.
Yeah.
But
that's
like
cool.
I said before, Seth was really accommodating and he was very, very keen on having that through line. So he was definitely accommodating to that. And
That's
working with Seth was great, man. I mean, the fact that I'd love to work. I'm waiting for him to send me this next script, man.
Yeah, come on, Seth.
Haven't got it in my inbox yet, so we're waiting. But he's
sure
great. I mean, yeah, I hope so. I know he's made mention of a few things that I won't say, but it all sounds pretty exciting. But he's great, and for this to be his first feature film is very impressive. And it's also my first feature film that I was in as a sort of lead. So to be with Seth on that was great because sure, there was things that I didn't know and Seth didn't know. And it was great to kind of gauge that as peers, it definitely felt like we were going through something together, which was great. And he's also a great guy. So it was
he's a great guy. That's cool that you shared that kind of bond and it's both your kind
absolutely,
of first feature
absolutely.
film. I guess and you mentioned the ILand that you kind of did that before Echo Boomers, and you got to work with Alex Pettifer on that project as well. What was it like to kind of team up again and do Echo Boomers together?
That was great, man. It was great. I mean, the role, I didn't really have much to do with Alex in terms of on screen in the ILand, and also the role is very different in the ILand as well. Much quieter and not confident at all.
Yeah, I watched the first episode. Sorry to interrupt, but I was I really enjoyed the first episode. I liked your character, but it was very different to Echo Boomers.
Very different. Yeah, that was also. I've been lucky with those two projects because those characters have really big changes at the end, which is something is really fun to do. To on page 8 read something and then see on page 80 that it's almost a completely different person, which is always just great. But Alex did me a huge favor with Echo because he helped me sort of be involved in it initially. Because I think he brought my name up with some people, so I definitely owe him for that. And I mean, it was great, man. And I got to do more stuff with him at Echo. So that was fun.
Yeah, seems like a great guy. And I guess the rest of the cast as well, and like working with Patrick, and Patrick was great in the film as well. Like prior to watching Echo, like I haven't really seen him in much, and he killed it as well. And obviously then you have Michael Shannon, big time actor. Like how was it working with the rest of the cast? Were you intimidated at all by either Michael Shannon, I guess, or anyone like that?
I would have been if I hadn't met him before several times.
Oh, okay.
I was actually in a coffee shop in Brooklyn a long time ago, and I was working away or whatever, and I saw him, and I went up to him to ask because I was in the film and I wanted to introduce myself, and he seemed really pissed off that no, I'm kidding. No, he's a super nice guy. Definitely, he's an intimidating guy. He's a real force, and he's a real presence. But I think if I hadn't met him before, I would have been much more intimidated than I was because I knew he was a very nice guy. And so Take Shelter. Have you seen Take Shelter?
Yeah, I love Take Shelter. That's great.
One of my favorites of his. I just remember seeing that when I was young, just being like, wow. So the fact that I could be on a scene with him was really great. And he's one of the greats, and I admire him very, very much. But also I got to work with incredible people like Jacob as well. Jacob Alexander, he's a great guy. We're very close still. And Haley as well. She's fantastic. And Oliver. We had a really great team.
Yeah.
And I think the film would have been very, very different in terms of making it if we hadn't had such a sort of bubble of closeness while we were shooting.
Yeah. Do you kind of pick things up, I guess, working with different actors? Like, do they have different styles in terms of how they approach things on set? Or is it kind of everyone's left to their own kind of tools and that sort of thing?
I mean, it depends. When you read the script and you're sort of preparing, you have an idea of what the other guy or a person is going to do. And you need to be able to throw that out the window when they don't do that.
Yeah.
Because you're not playing every role. The person across from you is going to do something completely other than what you imagined. So you need to, and that's always fun, I think, to have this idea and then be like, oh, Patrick is going to do something completely different because he's his own actor and he makes his own choices. So I think it's all about being sort of malleable and being able to kind of do something that you didn't, write down or set in stone, and be flexible in that way. And sure, like everyone has a different process, Some people have to go away and listen to music, and some people can be laughing and joking away, and then as soon as action comes, they just drop in. But I think as long as you're respectful of other people's process and you don't ruin anything for anybody, I think all processes are welcome.
Yeah.
As long as you're disruptive in your your process and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. It's cool that they can kind of surprise you and kind of, bring that scene, act that scene out in a way that you wouldn't have imagined and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you're reacting to that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the fun is,
Yeah.
You get to have some fun when someone does something you did not expect.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. Speaking of fun, did you get to smash a lot of things on set? There's a lot of those cool scenes where we're just destroying houses.
Yeah, I did that a couple of times. Yeah, that, I think maybe when I was younger, I would have found it more exciting, like an 18-year-old smashing a bunch of shit. Yeah, now I just didn't get glass in my eye. I was smashing stuff and I just wanted to not get shards of glass. But I remember smashing that piano. We did like a whole 30 minutes where I just went to town on this piano with the baseball bat. And that was an experience for sure.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of, I don't know, like what's the situation like in the US, but there's a lot of places, and there's a couple in Australia where it's these rooms that you go there and you kind of like release this stress, and you just destroy a bunch of shit. Like, I don't know how, like, if that's kind of, if that kind of matches to that experience, like that's what kind of,
yes, yeah.
People have this desire to destroy things. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what that says about us. Maybe it's very natural and very healthy, and we should encourage that as long as it's, safely away from everybody else. But
exactly, yeah.
Maybe therapy is a good idea for those people too.
Maybe therapy. Maybe that's a form of therapy. I don't know.
Maybe it is. Yeah, Echo Boomers is a therapeutic movie in that respect.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So you mentioned working on the ILand as well, and I just had to ask, kind of like, for that process as well. First of all, the location, it's stunning. Like, what was that kind of like? How long did you shoot that, and where was that? Like, where did you guys?
That was in the Dominican Republic.
Oh, cool.
The Dominican Republic. We were there for 9 weeks. Yeah, roughly 9 weeks. It was incredible, man. I mean,
on the beach.
Right before that, I was so broke in New York that I was on the phone with some people being like, I have to leave. I can't afford it here anymore.
Yeah.
So I was just like out of money and working odd jobs and stuff. So when that job, initially I didn't get it. I got the call, it went another way. I was really upsetting it. And then they just came back and go, no, you got it. And so that was a huge game changer. The fact that I could afford to be in New York again. And then from being really broke, you get to go to the Dominican Republic, which is, I mean, those beaches are stunning.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing crew who were so hospitable and kind. And that was a really fun shoot.
Yeah.
The Dominican Republic is a very interesting place. It's got a lot going on.
Yeah. It seems almost like it's a cool mix between shooting this cool like TV show as well as a bit of a holiday. So
I mean, it's hard not to feel that way on your days off when you're just sitting by the beach bar just hanging out. Yeah, it's very hard to feel like it's hard work on those days. Yeah.
It looks awesome. Like, yeah, definitely being in lockdown and all this stuff, not being able to travel and go on holidays, watching that, like anything that I've watched like this year that's like tropical, anything like that, it's just, man, I need to go on a holiday. I need to get out.
Have you got something lined up?
Maybe over the Christmas break. Yeah.
Okay.
Might go like to like Northern Australia, like to Queensland. Yeah, it's sunny there. There's beaches.
Perfect. What more could you want?
Exactly. You mentioned working in theater as well, and obviously going to Julliard and that sort of thing. What's the difference? How do you see working on TV and film versus working in a theater project, and kind of what is the difference for you, and how do you kind of approach both of those? Is it a bit of a different approach?
I mean, yeah, I guess in the medium, in like the execution, of course, there's going to be differences, absolutely, in terms of, the basics, being heard, being seen, and, but in terms of like the prep and the character and the story, for me personally, I know that there's some actors that probably would disagree. I don't think there is any difference. I don't approach it any differently. The great thing about theater is that you get to do it in chronological order every time.
Yeah.
You don't, there's less in a way you have to manufacture because it all kind of happens to you in the order that it's supposed to. And if you're supposed to get to some sort of emotional place or whatever, at the end, you're kind of taken there by the play. Whereas in film and TV, there's a much more manufacturing that you have to do as an actor, you know, to sort of string the scenes together. But also there's an editor, so they get to also do that for you in a way. So but in the rehearsal and the practice, no, not really. I guess maybe speak a little louder on stage, obviously, you know, all the
make sure everyone can hear you.
Exactly. But for me, it's not like I have to go, okay, how do I do this again in terms of recalibrating to a different medium personally, I would say.
What's it like to, I guess, bring that kind of energy if you're doing a show and it's, you know, you're doing it for the entire week and every night you need to kind of bring that energy back? It seems like it can be very exhausting.
It's very tiring. It's very tiring. But I think definitely with the Sam Shepard in New York, you sort of have to live this sort of monastic, very thoughtful, quiet life between those shows because it just takes it out of you, man. But it's also great and it's also really fun. And Sam Shepard is one of my favorite writers. So to do that was kind of, the exhaustion sort of was on the back seat because I was so excited by that. But yeah, definitely, man. I mean, I did a play in New York, Hangman, and I would go out every night after. The cast, who were a bunch of Brits, so obviously went up down the street. I just fucking wrecked my voice.
You can't be doing that.
You can maybe do that once every 2 weeks and speak very quietly. Don't go to a loud bar or something like that. So I mean, you find ways of figuring it out. Lots of tea.
You got to sacrifice those big nights out.
Well, partly because you're just not even available. Those are the hours that you're in the the big nights, the club nights. You gotta say goodbye to them for a few months, which is fine personally.
Of course. Do you prefer one versus the other? Do you really enjoy theater work as opposed to film and TV work?
I would say probably my heart is probably in film. That was probably my introduction to acting. I would love to do more theater, and I'm sure I will, hopefully, but I would say I consume a lot of cinema. I don't consume, even when it was happening in New York, I didn't go to the theater that much. Occasionally I would for my favorite playwrights, but film, I'm so plugged in just as a fan as well, and as a fan of the art form of cinema. So definitely cinema, absolutely.
There's a lot of actors kind of talk about where their true passion kind of lies, if it's theater work and, you know, TV and that sort of thing. But yeah, that's interesting to hear. I guess I want to touch on also doing a bit of research on you and kind of some upcoming projects that I want to touch on. And again, you might not be able to speak about it in great detail, that sort of thing. The first one I want to touch on is The Islander.
Oh yeah.
So it looks like you got to shoot this in Croatia. That's kind of my hometown down in the Balkans. Your
neck of the woods.
That's it. How was that process like?
That was great, man. That was phenomenal. I worked with a producer of one of the producers of Echo Boomers, Matt. His name is Matt, and he's a very dear friend, and I respect him a lot. So he called me to come out and do that, and it was actually the first gig that I didn't have to audition for, which was a huge thing, you know. But that was great, man. That's a really sort of high concept Croatian. It's a Croatian-backed film. It has US backing, but it's a massively Croatian-backed film, English language. But that's a sort of massive, high concept, Mad Maxy kind of race film. It's out there. But it was a lot of fun, and we shot in Dubrovnik, which is just. Out there, man.
Beautiful. Have you been there before, or was it the first time?
No, that was my first time. I will most certainly be going back. Because
it's awesome.
But I'm excited for that one. I haven't seen anything of that. I play this sort of, I don't know how much I'm supposed to say, but I won't say that much. A villainous sort of, that's all I'll say. A villain.
A villainous guy.
A villainous guy. Is he a guy?
Is he a guy? Is he something else? Well, they've got your title as like Pharos, so I'm not too sure what else you could say there. But it's it looks interesting.
Man, that one I'm very excited to see how that's going to turn out.
Yeah, they film a lot of these things. Like I guess Dubrovnik is like known for like Game of Thrones and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
yeah, it's a hot kind of location.
Yeah, it's definitely, yeah, it's tapping into that kind of almost steampunk kind of look. So we have these beautiful old structures of the old city, and then
Yeah,
also this sort of new kind of newer sort of metallic, rusty, and yeah, definitely that Mad Maxy look for sure. So it's definitely gonna look great for
it
sure.
looks cool. One of the because I was looking into it, so I think one of the directors and co-writers, I think his name's Zoran
Yeah,
Lizanuts.
yeah.
So he just released like this great, like beautiful film this year. It's about this like it's a biopic about like a very famous ex-Yugoslavian singer who
Mm.
had just like this crazy like journey, and he's a folk singer actually, and like all his songs are still sung at all the bars across like
Yeah.
the Balkans and things like that. And I actually watched it recently.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
How was it?
yeah, it's really good. Yeah, I'll send you actually like a little trailer or something like that.
Please do. Please do.
Yeah,
He's a very talented guy. So that's exciting to hear. I definitely will
yeah.
check it out. What's it
So
called?
it's called Tomah. Yeah,
Tom.
the guys so the singer's name was Tomah Zdravkovic. Yeah, so it was a really beautiful film. I'm actually really excited to see more of his work. So
Yeah,
we look
he's
forward
great.
to it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a really cool guy. Um I guess the other thing, just touching on Croatia and stuff like that, what was kind of the culture like, and were things kind of open there? Did you get to try some of the cool food? Did you have
I mean, we were,
chavapi?
yeah, we were so lucky because at the time, no, I don't, the vaccines weren't a thing, but at the time, Dubrovnik had a COVID case rate of 3.
Oh,
Like, so it was great. It
yeah,
was, I came straight from lockdown USA to this sort of open, but
yeah,
still very quiet and not a lot of, no tourists. So a lot of
yeah,
the locals there were saying, we're seeing a Dubrovnik that unfortunately doesn't exist anymore because none of the cruise ships were there, none of the
yeah,
food were. So it was great, man. It was
yeah.
quiet, beautiful. We could do all the old city walks without being sort of bombarded with
Tourists and
tourists.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, that place is usually jam packed with like tourists, so
yeah.
that would have been weird. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. The other project I want to touch on again might not be one you can talk about a lot, but there's Archive 81, and I believe it's produced by
Yeah,
James Wan. What can
yeah,
you tell me
man.
about that, and what's that show going to be about?
Well, that's based on the podcast Archive 81, which is
Hmm.
a sort of a horror about a guy who goes to this facility to kind of work on to archive these tapes. And I won't say anything else because I don't want anyone to come after me. But it's all on the podcast, so you can listen to Archive 81. But it's
Yeah,
more of not a spin-off, but a adaptation of the podcast. And it's it's like a new horror show. And I'm in one episode, and I can't say anything other than that. But I had a great experience, and I think it's going to be really great. I
yeah,
think I think Netflix are definitely behind this one in a heavy way, and that
yeah.
will come I think sometime early 2022. I think.
Yeah, I believe it's listed for 2022. But yeah, it looks
Yeah,
really
yeah,
cool. The concept looks not like really good, and obviously James Wan and everything that he's done. Like, yeah,
yeah. Everyone was great on that. There's a great team behind that. So I think creatively and the way it's going to look, and Bobby Bukowski film is a cinematographer, so it's going to look fantastic, and it's definitely creepy for sure. Yeah.
yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing your episode. That's awesome. That's
Hey, me
awesome.
too. Me too.
Perfect. Well, Gilles, I wanted to jump into a couple of quick fire kind of speed round questions from the Fine Film team here. Again, it doesn't have to be a short answer. We can kind of elaborate on some of them, but
Get into it.
I'll hit you with some questions. I want to find out a little bit more about you and kind of what your flavor is. So first one is what is your favorite movie of all time and why? You mentioned that you loved cinema. So what is it for you?
Yeah. Um, I think one of my favorites of all time is Paris, Texas.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan of that sort of romantic view of the America and sort of the road trip movie. I just think that's a really beautiful, I really like sad movies, just like
Yeah.
the more heart-wrenching, the better. Like, so that one's a beautiful film, and Harry Dean Stanton is great in that. And
Yeah.
also the cinematography and the way that film uses color, those like bright greens that you would think looks incredibly unnatural, but it just fits.
Yeah.
That's definitely one of my favorites. What else? I'm a huge Tarkovsky fan.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound too pretentious with Tarkovsky, but
No,
he's like
I love it.
Stalker is incredible. Nostalgia is probably one of my favorites as well by him.
Yeah,
Who else? I recently watched The Card Counter. Have you seen that? New
I
Card
haven't seen
Counter?
it, but I'm aware of it. Yeah,
Yeah, I really like that. I thought that was really cool. I'm a huge fan of his in terms of his newer stuff like First Reformed and his more
yeah.
transcendental films. I love that. But up there is probably Tarkovsky, Paris, Texas. Um, God, you see, as soon as someone asks you that question, they just all
You
leave
have
your
a
mind.
million of movies in your head, but it's hard to like, yeah,
I know.
pick
What
them
about
out.
you? What's one of your favorites?
No, I really like your answers. I'm actually, yeah, really, I've been getting into Tarkovsky a lot, like especially this year, and kind of, yeah, watching a lot of his films. But yeah, I'm a sucker for like Christopher Nolan and stuff. Maybe not some of the more recent stuff. Love Damien Chazelle and
Mhm.
everything that he's kind of done as well. Yeah, La La Land, Whiplash, all that sort of stuff.
I haven't
Um,
seen
yeah, check it out,
it.
man. It's
That was great. Yeah.
yeah, it's really good. I think he's got a new one coming out called Babylon, and it's got like a great cast. Like
Oh,
it's
cool.
huge, like Brad Pitt and stuff like that. And yeah,
Oh, cool.
so it looks cool. He's really exciting as well.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
there's
saw.
just
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, sorry, I was just gonna say there's so many films that you know, like I
I
love.
know. I know. I
It's
was
hard
just
to like pick them out. Yeah.
exactly. I watched a great film the other day called Men and Chicken.
Oh,
It's a Danish film with Mads Mikkelsen. That is fantastic, and
I'll have
he
to check
just
it
did
out.
a new one called Riders of Justice. That's
Yeah, yeah,
also it's great. The way that that film is so many genres in one is really impressive.
yeah.
Yeah, that one was
Mads is very hot right now. Mads is very hot.
yeah. I love his old stuff, man. Like when
Yeah.
he was in a couple of those Dogma 95 films back in the
Mm.
day. Those I thought are great. Yeah. So those are a few.
Yeah, he's
That's just,
fantastic.
yeah, for sure, man. He's great.
That's awesome. Next one is what are two items you'd bring to an island if you were stranded there for real this time though?
Okay, wow. I
Remember, you got to survive, you got to stay entertained, you know. What's important to Gillis?
is a notebook and pen, does that count as two or one? Uh,
I'll give you that as one.
okay, give me that as one. So I'd bring a notebook, very large notebook and
Large
pen.
one.
Also, you can make fires with the paper as well. So
That's true.
yeah. And then the other one, aside from loads of water or food, definitely notebook and pen. That's tough.
Like a weapon or something. What if you need to like cut
Okay,
things?
probably a knife then. A solid knife.
I like the
Yeah.
combo of a book and a pen and a knife. Yeah.
What I don't know what else you need just in regular. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Like, what
Yeah.
if maybe a torch or something? I don't know. I don't
Oh yeah, that's a good. See, these are good ones as well.
know. It's a tough one.
It is a tough one. I'm gonna stick with my notebook and pen,
Yeah,
and
I
then
like that.
because a knife you can potentially make fire with. You know,
That's
if you
true.
keeping it against the stone and stuff like that. So yeah,
Start a spark, yeah, and you can just jot down everything, your entire experience, and
exactly.
sell the novel at the end of it when you get rescued. Yeah.
Keep your sanity throughout for sure. Yeah.
So who's a director that you'd absolutely love to work with right now?
Her name is Julia. She directed Titan.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Julia Da something. Julia D something. I can't remember her last name, but
yeah.
her. I think I love her film Raw, and I just saw Titan, and that was just I just have so much respect for someone who's just making whatever they want.
Yeah, yeah,
Really incredible level as well. She's so talented, and the way she just goes to all those places, I think is fantastic. And so I heard, and I heard talk of the fact that she's going to do something in the English language. So
gotta get an audition, Gillis.
get an audition or learn how to speak French, one of the two.
Yeah,
So yeah,
what's tougher? Yeah,
probably audition, man. Those
probably
can be
audition. Yeah,
yeah.
that's great.
So
I
her,
like that. I think it's Julia Docanau or something like that.
yeah, that's her. Yeah,
Docanau, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That's
I would
awesome.
love to work with her. She's really great.
That's great. Next one is what's an acting technique or exercise that you really like to do, or that you really enjoyed during your time in school, I guess, or in classes and things like that.
Oof. Um, I think, man, I mean, a lot of my actor friends have like a real process, and one of the things I got in trouble for at school, among other things, I got in trouble quite a lot, was that all the teachers said I didn't have a process, like I didn't have a set of tools that I went back to, and I often feel that way in a job. When I get a new job, I'm completely stumped at the beginning of what to do, and I personally like that in a way because every role is different, and I think a tool for one would be wrong for the other. Although initially the first 2 weeks of prepping a role are, what the hell am I going to do? I'm going to suck. I'm terrible. So you got to kind of get through that to kind of lock in. That's a tough one, man. I mean, the oldest trick in the book is when you don't know what to do, just listen to the other person. I know that's such an annoying thing to say, but it's just so true.
It's true though. Yeah.
Just anchor onto your scene partner.
Yeah.
And when you have a good one, like the play, it takes you there. If you have a good scene partner, you have to do very little. You just have to be there.
You just have to react, and they'll take you there. Yeah.
And
prepping too much.
Yeah, so that's always great when you're in a scene and you know you're in it with someone else in the same level, because then you can just help each other. Just if you think about the other person, you get out of your own way. Getting out of your own way, probably.
Yeah. I like that better. That's good.
Yeah, okay, good. We'll keep that in.
Keep that one in.
Yeah,
right. So I guess you got to work with a lot of cool actors so far in the films, and obviously some bigger names and things like that. Who are two actors that you would like to work with down the line?
Oh.
I'm sorry if I'm hitting you with these tough questions.
No, I should be better prepared. Marianne Cotillard is her name? Her.
Love Marianne. She's great.
I would love to work with her. I'm not going to give more than two.
Yeah, go for it, please.
I think she's fantastic. Oh, who is the other one? He was in, they were in that film together, Rust and Bone. Matthias Schugenhaden I think is his name. You know who I'm talking about?
Like checking right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's correct.
Yeah. I mean, those two are great. But particularly Marianne, I'd love to work with. I think she's so great. Who else? I mean, also to work with Joaquin would be really cool. Joaquin Phoenix, he's fantastic.
Definitely.
So those are my three: Marianne,
Matthias,
what do you say, and then Joaquin? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's cool. I like those answers.
Oh, and Florence Pugh's back there. She's fantastic. I'd love to work with Florence Pugh.
She is, really hot right now as well, getting a lot of roles.
Yeah.
She's incredible.
Yeah, she's. Oh, okay. This is my last one. Juno Temple. You know her?
Who was that? Say that again.
Juno Temple.
Maybe if I see the face.
She's in Ted Lasso. She was in Killer Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great. She's really
great.
Yeah. And she's great because she does work both sides. She does her English work in terms of in Britain and stuff, and the US. Yeah, she's fantastic. So those are my four.
I like that list. Yeah, I like it. It's not. Sometimes we get these answers, and sometimes it's like Tom Cruise. You know, like I like these. These are cool actors. I like your choices.
Oh, thanks, man.
Awesome. The next one is like, obviously the world is obsessed with like superheroes at the moment, and it's been going on for a little while now. This is a two-parter. First of all, would you like to be involved in a superhero film? And if so, is there a superhero that you would like to play?
Okay. At the moment, of course, if Marvel came knocking, or I'm not exactly going to say, nah, I'm good. So if they come knocking 100%, I want to say, obviously, I would want to play one of the bad guys, I think. I definitely, if I would do one, I would definitely would rather play one of the villains, because I just think they're more interesting. What was the first part? I remember the second part of the question.
The first part is if you would like to do it.
I mean, it's not on. Yeah, it's not on the top of my list. Like, it's not like a dream of mine to be in the Marvel or DC universe. I saw the trailer for the new Batman. That looks really cool.
Oh, it does look cool.
Really cool. But if I could be, I think Doctor Doom's kind of cool. I don't think they've quite cracked Doctor Doom yet.
Not really, Not properly.
I mean, growing up, the only superhero I was really into was the Punisher. I don't know what that says about me as a kid. I used to like comic books.
Punisher's
So,
awesome, man.
yeah, he's pretty nitty gritty. So probably Doctor Doom or the Punisher. I'll take
The
one of those.
Punisher.
So,
Hey,
if I
I can see both for you. That's great. I like that. Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom's a very good answer. I like that.
yeah,
That's
because
very
he's kind
interesting.
of like an unsung. He's scary. I think you
He
can make
is.
him really scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But yeah,
the Marvel's doing the new Fantastic Four movies, so you never know, Gillis.
I'll wait for Seth's script and I'll wait for that script too.
That's
Those are
two
the two
scripts you're waiting for right now.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Um, this is just the one from the team as well. How many times have you been mistaken for Dane Duhan?
Once. Not in person, not
In
ever in
person?
real life, but someone has, I guess someone has said I look like him or he
Yeah.
looks like him.
That was our first thought when we watched Echo Boomers. Like, well, we like this guy. He's got a bit of that Dane DeHaan look. Yeah.
I can see it. I think if the bags under my eyes were a bit bigger as well, because he's got that kind of edgy look as well. He's good.
Yeah.
He's an actor. He's great.
He's great. Yeah, he's done a lot of good roles. It kind of dipped away a little bit for him, but he's a fantastic actor. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of what was the last thing I saw him in. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there was a couple. I think it was that Spider-Man movie that he did that kind of derailed things a little bit because it wasn't received quite well. And then
I didn't see it.
yeah. Anyway, we love you, Dane. It's okay.
Dane's great.
Yeah, Dane's great. Have you been to Australia at all?
I haven't, I have never been to Australia. One of the people in the episode of Archive 81 is from Australia. She's there at the moment. I think also rejoicing in the fact that quarantine has been lifted.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, so I've never been. It's on the list.
On the list, any plans to come down?
I can't, not at the moment. Not at the moment. I think the world needs to kind of settle a little bit more.
Yeah, it's weird even traveling at the moment. Like you just don't know. Places aren't the same as they used to be, even like just regular travel, right?
Absolutely. It's been very weird and interesting to travel during the pandemic for jobs and stuff because
yeah,
when I flew to Croatia for that film, it was 350 seats. I think there were 7 people on it.
Shit.
And that was, terrible for the environment because 7 people with all that fuel is pretty scary. But yeah, it was, and I was in London when the pandemic hit originally, and then I flew back to see my family, and Heathrow was just deserted. Like that, the opening of 28 Days Later, that was what it looked like, and that was right in the early days, so that was really scary. But so Australia is on the list. I'm not the greatest flyer in the world, which is ironic. I do fly, so I need to mentally gird myself to do that.
Yeah, it's a long flight, so
yeah.
Yeah, if you get a bit panicked on the flight, it's a long 16 or 17 hours that you have to endure.
I'm sure I'll come out there at some point. It's a part of the world that I've never explored before, and I'm very eager to see what it's like over there.
Yeah, please come down, mate. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
I'm sure I will, man. I'm sure I will. I've heard great things, nothing but great things.
That's it. Speaking of Australia, are there any Aussie actors that you really enjoy? And again, you might not know a lot or might not be aware of a lot.
Well, I know a bunch. I don't know the actors, but the films I like from there are Jackie Weaver. She's great. The films that I love from there, have you seen The Rover?
Yeah, with Robert Pattinson, Guy Pearce.
Yeah, I thought that was a really cool film. Yeah, I thought that was great. Is that David Michôd?
The director? I believe so. Just do a quick fact check. Yeah, it is David Michôd, yeah.
Yeah. So, Jackie Weaver's great. Guy Pearce is really good.
Yeah.
He's not an actor, but Nick Cave is also fantastic as a writer, and his band is fantastic.
Yeah, Nick Cave.
Snowtown was a really intense film. Have you seen that one?
I don't think I have. No.
Oh man, it's great.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's Jed or Justin Kurzel, I think.
Justin Kurzel, yeah.
I think that's him. Yeah, that one's heavy. That one's really, really heavy. And Animal Kingdom as well, which Jackie Weaver's in.
Yeah, that was a big one, I guess, and then they kind of turned it into the US Netflix show as well. I think it's on Netflix.
Oh, yeah, I've never seen that. But Australia has a really cool film scene.
Yeah,
really a lot of great independent sort of gritty films that come out of Australia.
yeah, right up your alley, I think, as well. These deeper.
Yeah, I think you probably understood that I like grittier stuff. Yeah,
No, I like it. I dig it, man. I dig it.
yeah.
That's awesome. Well, this next part is just a quick little thing that we do, which is called the Fine Film casting game, where I'm gonna cast you in a film that I would love to see you in a bit of a remake of a film, and
Okay.
I've picked two for you, which I really like. So again, the first one that I would love to see a remake of, and you in the starring role, is Primal Fear. Edward Norton and Richard
Uh,
Gere, and you'll play that Edward Norton role, which is I think a great role for you. What do you
well,
think?
I have a confession. I've never seen it.
Well, there's a big
So,
spoiler in that film, so I don't think I want to. I'm not too sure if you know.
I'm glad I told you that before you spoiled it.
Did you? Yeah,
So I haven't seen it. I've got to watch it, and then I'll get back to you on what I think.
brother, I think it's a role that was made for you. The next one also kind of actually no, it doesn't revolve around Edward Norton, but the next one is the talented Mr. Ripley in the lead role as Mr. Ripley.
It's funny you say that actually, because they're remaking that as a series.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think, and I auditioned for it a couple of years ago. I didn't get it, but I think an actor I worked with, Johnny Flynn,
Mm,
believe that he got it. But I don't know where that's at in terms of production. But he's great. So, but
that's
that film I have seen. So
that's awesome. Yeah, that's a cool role. That's a really cool role.
that
I
is a
think.
cool.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what they do with the series. Yeah. What's
Yeah, great. So
is there so a part of this, is there a film that, or like a remake or something like that, a film that you really love, do you think you would have just nailed that role, or you would love to do that role?
yeah. God, I got to get these questions in advance. Good
I'm sorry,
response.
man. I just want to
Great.
test you with these.
I mean, there is definitely. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I mean, I would love to play maybe this like a really muscular role. Do you ever see a film called Bullhead?
Don't think I have.
It's a yeah, it's a Flemish film, and I
Mhm.
think that's a really beautiful film. Very very tragic, kind of yeah, inverts masculinity in a very interesting way.
Yeah,
Uh,
Matthias is in
just
it.
yeah, yeah, like a really kind of a muscular, really muscular role in terms of because that film's so great because he's this massive hunk of a guy, and I'm
Mm,
not going to spoil anything, but he's got his exterior does not match his interior, which is what we were talking about earlier
yeah,
with Jack in a way, is that the roles that do two things are the ones that are really exciting for me to be
yeah,
able to invert someone's initial expectation of a situation or a role to because I find that life is people are not black and white. They're very very complicated, and they're two things, four things, eight things at the same time. So something like that. I'll say Bullhead for now.
yeah.
He did an incredible job, but to do a film like that would be great. I'm gonna
That
think
sounds
as soon
cool.
as you hang up. I know I'm gonna think of the one, so I'll have to tell you off the air.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I like that. I'll have to check it out. The movie sounds
oh,
really
it's
cool.
great, man. Really good film. Yeah.
That's awesome. Great. Well, I guess the last one is just any kind of general advice that you would kind of give to aspiring actors or anyone kind of trying to get into the industry, or they have big, hopes and dreams to kind of make it as an actor. What would you kind of give those people?
Don't give up, man. It's like to be totally real with you. It's like I'm not working at the moment.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of actors feel this way, that when they don't have something lined up and the job ends, they think they're done. You think
Yeah.
you're done. And that can be very tough and scary when you've had this incredible experience for 9 weeks in the DR or whatever, and then
Hmm.
suddenly silence, and that can be very scary. So that's what I tell to myself, don't give up, like
Yeah.
keep going. So I would say, not that I'm in a place to give advice, but I would say just keep going, man, because something my agent once said to me, that the trajectory is not linear.
Hmm.
It's not linear. I wish it was. You take one step and you keep going, and then it all falls into place. But you go up, you go down, you're down for ages, and you're up.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm telling myself more. Just keep going.
It's a
That,
brutal industry. Yeah. With this.
yeah, I mean, Yeah, as is a lot of other industries aside from the arts, but I think especially for acting, is there's just no guarantees ever.
Yeah,
You could be in a hit film and never work again, and or you could be out of work for 10 years and then blow up. So there's
yeah.
no roadmap, man. So that would be my advice to myself and others.
Don't give up. I like that.
Keep going. Yeah, keep going.
That's awesome. Great. Well, just a quick shout out. So if you haven't seen Echo Boomers, as well as the ILand, I guess both of those, Echo Boomers available, I believe, on Amazon, but worldwide, it's probably easier to access on like YouTube. And then the ILand, you can check that out on Netflix as well. Check it out. It's great. Gilles, you're great in both. Really enjoyed your work in them.
Thank you.
Again, are you like active? Are you quite active on social media and that kind of thing? Can people follow you anywhere? What would you say?
I'm not very active on social media. I'll just say that. Keep it quite quiet.
That's cool. That's cool. But anyway, look out for Gilles Geary. I'm excited, mate. That talented Mr. Ripley, that would have been cool. But I'm excited.
We'll see with Dr. Doom.
Dr. Doom, Seth's next film. I'm super excited to see your work. And again, if you're ever down in Australia, mate, we'll go for a beer, hit the pub.
I'd love it.
It'll be great.
I'll hold you to it, man. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for coming on, man. And take care of yourself. And I'll speak to you soon.
Be well, man. Take care.
All right.
Thank you.
Cheers, Gilles. Bye.